You're listening to international investment advisor Doug Goldstein on the Goldstein on Gelt show, the financial show where we'll talk about how you can make the most of your money. With all the confusing financial chatter bombarding you each and every day, Goldstein on Gelt will give you the practical information you want and need about living a financially stable life. Here's your host, money maven Doug Goldstein.
Okay, we are back. We are talking with Brian Tracy, who is the chairman and CEO of Brian Tracy International. Brian's goal is to help people achieve their personal and business goals, and he has certainly succeeded, having consulted for well over 1,000 companies and addressed more than 5 million people on the planet. Brian, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you, too.
Listen, I'd like to start and just ask you a little bit about you've spoken so much about how people can change their way of thinking and then change reality. Frankly, it sounds a little bit like using the Force. Is it really true that people can do that?
Well, people change their thinking all the time with new information. And so as you feed your new information into your mind, which is consistent with something else that you want to be or do, a doctor enters college with no knowledge of medicine, comes out the other end as a doctor. So the constant influx of information transforms a person's thinking, both about themselves, about their opportunities, about their possibilities. So that's why you and I are continuous learners. We're just continually gobbling up new information, looking for new pieces of information that will help us to move ahead faster. So yes, it's very possible to change your thinking. Not easy and not quick, but definitely happens all the time.
So is this something that people should look to do in small steps and set very small goals?
Well, yes. Goals are so important. I teach programs on goal setting. I think almost, as a friend of mine once said, success is goals and all else is commentary. As you can't hit a target that you can't see. If you have a very, very clear target, then one of the things you ask is, what will I have to learn to be able to achieve that goal? There's a rule that says to achieve a goal you've never achieved before, you're going to have to learn and do things you've never done before. Mm-hmm. In other words, you cannot achieve your goals on the same level that you are today. You're going to have to learn and practice something new and different. But the goal is the key.
This actually goes in line with a lot of the discussions we've had with guests on this show who talk about the concept that genius is something that can be learned and is not necessarily taught. And it's not necessarily inborn, that it's not genetic. And I'm sort of wondering, are you on that side of the equation or on the side that says, listen, at the end of the day, if you have smart parents...
The research shows that intelligence is malleable over about 25 IQ points. So a person with an average IQ can actually, by working their brain, studying, concentrating, learning, memorizing, can actually increase their intelligence, increase their ability to learn and retain new information. I have a good friend who's a memory expert, and he was in the Army. And he came out and he was selling tickets for a friend of his who was doing memory seminars. And he said, well, I could do this. So he began to study memory. And this guy just won the World Memory Championships. And one of the contests was they turn over decks of cards, one card at a time. And he could memorize 14 decks.
Oh, my.
14 decks. That is the world champion. And I've seen him do things that are phenomenal. He'll go around the room, a large room, and he'll have 50 people throw out two-digit numbers. And they'll give the number 22, 33, 45. And they say, okay, stand on the stage. And he'll recite them all back in order. And then he'll recite them back in reverse. He said, just a learnable technique. These are just memory techniques. So yes, people have vast potentials that they habitually fail to use. If you sit and watch television or socialize or read the paper or watch sports all the time, your brain, just like a muscle that's not being used, your brain gets soft and flabby. But if you're challenging your brain all the time, it gets smart and quick and tough. So potential is great.
On the memory side, it's actually interesting. On the Goldstein on Gelt show, in the past we've spoken with Tony Buzan, who's written a great deal about this, as well as Harry Lorraine, who was from the previous generation of fabulous memory experts. If people would like to hear those interviews, go to goldsteinongelt.com and download the podcast or go to the YouTube channel. We're talking to Brian Tracy, who is probably the man responsible for more people achieving their goals than perhaps anyone else on the planet. Brian, explain to me, how can people who want to achieve their productivity and who want to increase their productivity and who are determined to do it, what are the first steps that they should begin to take?
Well, the first point is that all highly successful people are rated by their peers as highly productive, extremely result-oriented. They get a lot done in the same period of time that most people waste time. So how do you do that? Well, I've written all kinds of books and articles on it, but just to summarize it, is you make a list of everything you have to do each day, and then prioritize the list, which is more important, which is less important. Pick your most important task, the one that will have the greatest impact on your life, your career, and do that first. We say do the worst first. Natural tendency for human beings is to procrastinate on the biggest, ugliest, most important tasks. Mm-hmm. What top people do is they throw their whole heart into getting the biggest, ugliest, most important task done first thing. If you just do that, you'll double your productivity the first day. And if you do it regularly, it'll become a habit. And once it becomes a habit, you'll find yourself outproducing, in whatever field you're in, everybody around you.
Okay, so the first step you're saying is to prioritize, and the things that perhaps are the least pleasant are the ones you just have to get done first.
Yeah. You know, a time management expert once said to me that all of time management comes down to choosing the sequence of events. Choose what to do first, what to do second, and what to do not at all. If you can get that right, then you can manage your time and your life and accomplish extraordinary things.
Yeah, I picked that up a long time ago, that it was a very low-tech solution, because today everyone's got a very high-tech solution for how you can do more. And then it's true, I actually use a computer to write the list instead of a yellow pad. But every morning I go into the office, I write the list of what I want to do, and then I prioritize it. And only then do I start working. Because I think as Abraham Lincoln said, if he had 8 hours to chop down a tree, he would spend the first 7 hours sharpening his saw, which I think is critical. Brian, this is really a personal finance show. We talk to people about improving their overall personal financial situation. In order to do better in the stock market or the bond market, you don't just wake up in the morning and say, well, I'll make a list of things I want to do and I'll do the most painful one first. How do you recommend people can build their own personal financial, not necessarily, well, certainly wealth, but stability?
Well, all of wealth comes from adding value. Is adding value of some kind. So you produce a product or a service, or you improve an existing product or service. It's always focused on the person who's going to use it. So you find that successful people have an obsession with developing products and services that other people want and need and are willing to pay for. Unfortunately, too many people are looking for shortcuts. They're looking for quick, easy ways to make money without working. And you and I both know that really successful people work 6 days a week. I was listening to an expert, really successful guy. He's being asked, what do you do on the weekends? And he said, I don't know any successful person who works less than 6 days a week. And even though he was at the top of his field, still works 6 days a week. But here's the good news, is you're doing what you enjoy and you're doing it really well. You're motivated to work longer hours. You can hardly wait. You and I have to discipline ourselves not to work. We have to discipline ourselves to take time off because we love to work. And you'll find all successful people have channeled themselves into an area that they really love to do. And they like to do more and more of it, and they like to do it better, and they like to do higher priorities. But it's not a chore for them. But wealth creation comes back to adding value to other people's lives. And these ideas where you can make money by shuffling or
4-hour work weeks.
Yeah, 4-hour work weeks and something like that. You can have a 4-hour work week if you've already spent 20 years building an MLM business, which is what the author of the book did. And now he's got people working for him. But you can't start off with a 4-hour work week. Or you're going to have a real hard life.
I see. So in terms of an investment portfolio, right? A guy is he's got a day job and he's working. He puts money, let's say, into his 401k or an IRA, and no one's asking him necessarily to add value to the shares of Coca-Cola or Berkshire Hathaway that he owns. What value could he add in order to ensure that he's building his wealth?
Well, the stock market is where you store your money. Very few people make a lot of money in the stock market. There's a famous joke that says one of the stock market moguls was talking to one of his friends, and he was pointing out to all the yachts down and below Manhattan. And he said, these yachts all belong to the brokers. and the traders in the big financial houses. And the question was, where are the clients' yachts? Mm-hmm. And he looked at him pityingly that he could ask such a stupid question. The clients don't have yachts. It's the traders that have the yachts. So it's a good place to park money. Most people who are entrepreneurs park their money in the stock market, but mostly in real estate. Uh-huh. And meanwhile, they keep focusing on earning more money by creating products and services that people want and need and are willing to pay for. That has to be the central focus. Who is it, whether it's Apple or Microsoft or the wealthiest entrepreneurs in Israel? These people are all intensely focused on offering products and services that satisfy people. That's where wealth comes from.
So too many people, I think, actually measure their success by the amount of money that they have. In fact, Warren Buffett himself, who has more money than, let's say, you and me put together, says the reason he doesn't give it all away is he likes to keep score that way. How can people learn to look beyond that?
Well, I think at the early stages of your life, I see an awful lot of people being told, you should be loving and hugging and giving and sharing and joining charities and working in soup kitchens and so on. Well, there's a time for that. As they say, poor people never helped anybody. So there's a time in your life where you put your head down for 20 years to become financially successful. And once you become financially successful, if you like, then you could start to contribute to worthy charities. But if you start to contribute to worthy charities before you've ever made any money, it's very hard for you to accumulate enough to do anything worthwhile. So there's a time. Everything comes in sequence. Your biggest philanthropists, like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, began giving their money away after they'd made it. So that's the key. First make it, and then give it to causes that you think are worthy.
All right. Okay, we have been talking with Brian Tracy, the chairman of Brian Tracy International. He's helped literally millions and millions of people achieve their goals. Brian, we're just about out of time, but in the last couple of minutes, could you tell people how they can learn more about the work that you're doing?
Well, come to my website, briantracy.com. And there's a free letter for you. It's called Getting Your Ideas Across. It's a white paper, and it's basically how you can convince people to accept your ideas. It's very good for managers. It's good for executives. Especially, it's very good for salespeople. So you go to briantracy.com/communicate and just enter your email address. It's completely free, and we'll send you this white paper. So that's briantracy.com/communicate. And we'll also...
I was going to say you've written a number of books, so you can also just look at the Brian Tracy page at Amazon and probably find enough to keep you busy for a year or two just reading it all.
Yeah, there's about 1,000 entries on Amazon for me, which astonishes me. But of course, I've written more than 50 books, and these books have been translated into like 50 languages.
Wow.
Some or all of them, so they're all over the place, and then many of them have been recorded, both by myself in English and by many other people in foreign languages as well. So. Probably more than 1,000. I'm still amazed as me.
That is amazing indeed. All right, listen, Brian Tracy, thanks so much for your time. I look forward to having you back on the show in the future.
Thank you. It's been great to be with you.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt Show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt Show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt Show.